was his soulmate, and I would assume that you felt the same way. Do you feel that you can have a friendship that is like a soulmate friendship that doesn't necessarily include the romantic version?
Absolutely. We have soulmates. Our children can be our soulmates. I think this kind of romanticized idea of like a soulmate, there's all kinds of definitions of soulmate.
Yeah.
But definitely. I don't think if there is such a thing as past lives, I definitely think Pac and I have traveled a few together, in various forms. So,
has there ever been a time that you regretted the decision that you made not to take it to that level with him and to keep it in the friendship space?
It just wasn't possible. There was no chemistry between us. I talk about it in the book.
That's so hard. I know, but it's just so hard to imagine. At the time, he was in he was in a space where, he was in jail and all that, but it's just hard to believe that we see chemistry with the two of you guys. Even in the videos you guys dance, and there seems to be so much chemistry, but from your perspective.
It's that friendship, love chemistry. Trust me. Let me tell you, don't think that Pac and I, like I write in the book, we had those moments, and I wish I could get people to understand the repelling nature. It was almost like God made us that way. It was like, look, I'm going to put y'all together, all right? Y'all going to be a dynamic duo. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to make it so. Y'all not going to be able to get together because that just wasn't the purpose. And I know it's so hard, but we had and it wasn't just me.
Yeah.
Him too.
You know what it is? This is Joker News here. I'm going to keep you updated on this Tupac news. We're jumping right back into it. But look at what Jada's saying. Jada Pinkett Smith reveals Tupac proposed to her while he was in jail. Now, Jada Pinkett Smith has been making headlines this week ahead of the release of her new book, Worthy, after a number of revelations that came to light. Now, the U.S. talk show host shocked fans this week after revealing she and husband Will Smith have been secretly separated for the last 7 years. Now, while the book and subsequent interviews have been dominated by headlines surrounding Jada and Will, the former has also been speaking about her relationship with Tupac Shakur. Now, the pair met as teens in Baltimore before each going on to find their respective fame. Now, Tupac was tragically killed in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas in 1996. Now, since then, Jada has spoke about how the rapper knew how much she loved him, and she has now revealed in a recent podcast that Tupac proposed to her while he was in prison on Rikers Island. Now, speaking on a recent episode of All the Smoke podcast, Jada explained that his decision was not based on love, but instead his need for a rock. Now, when I wrote about that in the book, and when I had to talk about it, words from her, that was probably one of the more painful parts. Jada began seeing him there, the condition that he was in, and having to leave him there. He was in bad shape, and so when he asked me to get married, he was at Rikers. She continued, and I knew at the time that he needed somebody to do time with him, which I was going to do anyway. He didn't have to marry me to do that. I'm here. He needed a rock. He needed, because of our friendship and everything we had been through together, he just wanted to feel that solidified foundation. Now, because I promise you, he would have married me and divorced me as soon as he got out of there. He would have, I can be real with it. I just think it was the mindset that he was in, He wrote me the song letter, and even before Pac went to jail, he was starting to shift in a certain manner. Now, Jada went on to discuss the reasons as to why she thought Tupac proposed to her, claiming that tying the knot would have been Tupac continuing his trajectory to cleaning up his image. But, that's just some recent news on Tupac right there. And, Tupac Shakur fought a secret battle with alopecia, according to Jada Pinkett Smith, if you did not know this, people. Now, the actress, who's been married to Will Smith since 1997, has been doing the press rounds in support of her new memoir, Worthy. Now, Jada Pinkett Smith has been doing the press rounds in support of her new memoir, Worthy. Now, speaking to the Today Show, she confessed she and Will Smith have been separated since 2016. She also claimed Tupac Shakur once proposed to her, as I mentioned earlier. while he was behind bars at Rikers Island. Now, Pinkett says the iconic West Coast MC was secretly fighting alopecia, the same autoimmune condition she has that causes unpredictable hair loss. Now, I don't think Tupac ever talked about alopecia he suffered from. She told people after he was in Northern California with the police officers that beat him up, he started losing his hair, and his alopecia patterns were far more extreme than mine. She added, societal pressures at the time kept him from opening up about publicity, but she's confident he'd talk about it today if he were still alive. Now, I don't think Pac ever talked about his alopecia, but he also looked really good with the bald head, she said. But that was during a time and during an era that he just wouldn't talk about it. And so Pinkett claims Shakur started experiencing symptoms of the condition in 1991, around the time he was arrested jaywalking by the Oakland Police Department in California. Now, Shakur later filed a lawsuit against the police department related to the incident, which was ultimately settled. Now, Pinkett's alopecia was at the center of Chris Rock's G.I. Jane joke about the actress during the 2022 Academy Awards. She evidently didn't find it funny, and Smith wound up marching on stage, smacking Rock across the face. And we all remember that. That was a big thing. Now, she hopes that conversation surrounding the condition will further raise awareness about the condition, saying, I'm glad I've had the opportunity and will continue to have the opportunity to talk about how alopecia affects me. I'm just hoping that it'll give people the freedom to talk about how and just not have the shame around it and not to have such a stigma. And there's a lot of shame around alopecia. Now, as far as her marriage to Smith, she added, we're still figuring it out. We've been doing some really heavy-duty work together. We just got deep love for each other, and we're going to figure out what that looks like for us. And another thing that Jada Pinkett Smith reflects on Tupac proposing her about in prison is that she actually declined it, that she said. She says, I promise you, he would have married and divorced me as soon as he left the jail. And so Jada Pinkett Smith has reflected on the time Tupac Shakur tried to propose to her when he was imprisoned in Rikers Island. The actress and musician is currently promoting her upcoming memoir, Worthy, which will be released next week on the 17th. Now, in it, she speaks in depth about her friendship with the death row rapper, including when he proposed to her while in prison for sexual abuse charges in 1995. Now, in a recent appearance on the All the Smoke podcast, Pinkett Smith said, talking about Tupac in Rikers Island was one of the most painful parts for her while writing the book. Seeing him there in prison, the condition that he was in, and having to leave him there, he was in bad shape, she said. And she continued, so when he asked me to get married, I knew at that time that he needed somebody to do time with him. But because of our friendship and because of everything we have been through together, he just wanted to feel that solidified foundation, you know? And so she continues on to go saying, she called the California love rapper her soulmate, explaining, absolutely, we have soulmates. Our children can be our soulmates. I think this kind of romanticized idea of like a soulmate, there's all kinds of definitions of soulmates. But you guys let me know what you think about soulmates in the comments below. The Wicked Wisdom front woman made headlines earlier this week when revealed that she and husband Will Smith have been separated, as I said earlier, since 2016. But she also was explaining, I think we are both kind of just still stuck in our fantasy of what we thought the other person should be. She also spoke more about the infamous spectacle of Will Smith slapping Chris Rock at the 2022 Oscar ceremony. The first words he said to her after the slap were, are you okay? In other news, Jada Pinkett Smith also recently shared a clip of her and Tupac dancing to Will Smith's Grammy Award-winning song, Parents Just Don't Understand. Last month, Keith D. was arrested in connection to Tupac's murder in 1996, having allegedly obtained the gun used for the purpose of seeking retribution against Tupac. And, you know, this is just all some recent news, some crazy news that have been happening. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Hit that like and subscribe, and I'll keep you updated with some more juicy news.